What is up, Watch fam? Happy Saturday, and welcome to this episode of ASKTNH Live. I am Christian from Theo and Harris, and let's get into some watch talk. All right, before we jump into this episode of Live, quick wristwatch check. I am wearing an awesome Heuer chronograph, triple register. It's a reissue watch, actually. And I think that it is one of the better or best reissues out there. It's a 36 millimeter piece. It's stamped just Heuer as opposed to Tag Heuer, which I guess for the vintage geeks is a little bit more nostalgic. I love the configuration here of the silver with the blue tachometer and all the lume throughout. It's a beautiful, beautiful piece. This will be for sale on Tuesday in the watch shop at theoandharris.com. So everyone should get ready for that listing. Okay. No homo, you're looking like a fucking snack. No homo, my guy. Well, no homo, you're a snack, my guy. I don't even know what a snack is. I mean, a snack's got to be something good, right? Because he said no homo. Because if it was something bad, he wouldn't have said no homo. You know. Your thoughts on the Rolex 114-300? How about my thoughts on long Rolex references? I don't know how you guys. Here's my assumption here is that this is a watch, this 114-300 is a watch that you've thought about and you know, considered buying, and something you've read about several times, and that's awesome, and props to you for knowing what that is. But for me, someone who people are always asking about watches, it's extremely difficult to know what the hell you guys are talking about sometimes. You know, because I'm thrown at 30 references are thrown at me every day. You know, and it doesn't help that I think I'm dyslexic too, because I can't even read a phone number without, you know, without fumbling. So good for you guys, man. Everyone knows that reference number. Oh yeah, well not everyone. Tim since 1987. Not everyone. What's your recommendation where to liquidate non-vintage watches? You know, I don't really have one. You know, you can contact dealers and sell it to them. You can try eBay. I think that if you list a watch with good photos and a kind, honest description, you may, you know, have a good shot at, you know, at getting a fair price for it. I know eBay takes their fees, but so would anyone else. You know, so would any dealer. You know, I'm not going to buy your watch without putting in the same margin as eBay. You know, because I know what eBay's going to charge you. You know, probably. What do you think about Che Guevara's GMT? How much would it sell for? I love the Che Guevara GMT. It's almost as good as the Fidel Castro, was it GMT and Date? You know, it's how ironic, you know, how ironic. I don't know what it would sell for. I mean, you know, there are a lot of huge Che Guevara fans out there, so maybe it would sell for a massive premium. You know, is it in good condition? I mean, you know, put it this way. If the watch is worth 16 grand off the bat, what is Che Guevara's, you know, premium going to bring in? I mean, I see Che Guevara t-shirts everywhere, you know, so maybe it'll. I remember one time, Jay-Z was wearing a Che Guevara t-shirt and wearing a seriously big Cuban link chain and a seriously a gold Rolex Daydater Sky Dweller, and someone, you know, said to him, you know, hey Jay, you know, like a reporter, you feel like that's a, you know, conflicting ideology, you know, at all? And he was like, what do you mean? He goes, it's a Che Guevara t-shirt. You know, do you know a lot about Che Guevara? And he's like, no, honestly, I really don't know. I'm sorry, I don't know. You know, it was at least it was honest there for a second. 1675 GMT thoughts. I don't see many around. Are they worth the premium? Very good question. 1675s were a watch that you could fetch not too long ago for probably about half of what they're worth today. 4 or 5 years ago, you know, when I first got into vintage watches, a 1675 was like a realistic, expensive Rolex you could buy. You know, $6,000, $7,000, $8,000, $9,000, $10,000. Now you're talking about $14,000 to enter. You know, and that's at a relatively like normal, you know, GMT. So I don't know. I mean, is it a value prop anymore? I think it depends on one condition. It depends on I guess whatever, like I think that premium watches sometimes are really valuable, right? Like a gilt watch, even though it could be $8,000 more, could still represent a lot more value because it's those watches that often see the biggest upside when the market goes up. You know, when the market's strong, you know, gilt is gold. You know, I mean, gilt literally is gold, but gilt is, I mean, gilt is it. You know, because every rich guy that just got into watches, and I'm not a rich guy just got into watches, but I also love gilt, is like, yep, I've heard that before. That's a buzzword. I want the gilt, and I'm happy to pay the premium. You know, I mean, I know plenty of watch dealers out there that don't even like their business is predicated upon like not normal everyday transactions, just a couple of transactions a year that, I mean, net them 60, 70, 80, 100, $120,000, you know? So yeah, like even though there are only 4 important days a year, you know, they're pulling in 400, you know, or 350 just on those transactions. What about the other, you know, 360 days a year? You know what I mean? Or 361 days a year. You know, it's amazing. You know. So anyway, one more question, and I'm going to sign off right now. Thoughts on PVD coated pieces? PVD's gotten a lot better. I know it doesn't scratch as easily. It can be repainted or it can be redone now. So I have no problem with PVD watches. You know, as far as like the practicality of them, I think they can be quite attractive sometimes, but I don't own one, and I can't really say that I would own one, mostly because PVD watches are sports watches, and I am not, you know, too much of a sports watch guy. And for you guys on YouTube, do not forget to 1, follow us on Instagram at Theo and Harris, and 2, check out the watch shop at theoandharris.com for vintage watches, the best watch straps in the business, and so much more. I will see you guys all later on. Adios.